Welcome to Unsung Heroes. Today, we tell the story of Rosa Parks, the woman who sat for freedom. It's a story many think they know, but the real woman was far more than just a tired seamstress on a bus. Her quiet act of defiance was the culmination of a lifetime of fighting for justice, a single spark that would ignite a revolution. Let us journey back and uncover the life of the woman who became the mother of the freedom movement. Rosa Louise McCauley was born in Tuskegee, Alabama, on February 4, 1913. From a young age, she was acutely aware of the deep-seated racism of the Jim Crow South. She witnessed the Ku Klux Klan marching past her house and remembered her grandfather standing guard with a shotgun. These early experiences instilled in her a strong sense of justice and a quiet, steely resolve. Her mother, a teacher, educated her at home, teaching her that she was a person with dignity and rights, no matter what the world outside told her. This belief in her own self-worth was something she carried with her always. She attended a segregated school for African American children, but her education was often interrupted. She had to leave school to care for her sick grandmother and later, her mother. Despite these challenges, Rosa was determined. She eventually earned her high school diploma in 1933, at a time when less than 7% of African Americans did. This achievement was a testament to her perseverance and her belief in the power of education as a form of resistance. In 1932, she married Raymond Parks, a barber from Montgomery. Raymond was an active member of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. He was a politically conscious man who encouraged Rosa's own growing interest in civil rights. With his support, she joined the Montgomery chapter of the NAACP in 1943, serving as its secretary. This wasn't a passive role. She worked tirelessly, investigating cases of discrimination, documenting racial violence, and fighting for voter registration. She was on the front lines long before she ever set foot on that fateful bus. Her work with the NAACP exposed her to the brutal realities of systemic racism. She traveled throughout Alabama, interviewing victims of injustice and those who had been assaulted. She organized, she strategized, and she learned. In the summer of 1955, just a few months before her famous arrest, she attended the Highlander Folk School in Tennessee, a training center for civil rights activists. There, she discussed strategies for nonviolent civil disobedience. She wasn't just tired on that December day. She was prepared. She was a trained activist with a deep understanding of the fight she was in. December 1, 1955, it was a cold evening in Montgomery. Rosa Parks, a 42-year-old seamstress, finished her day at the Montgomery Fair department store and boarded the Cleveland Avenue bus for home. The bus was segregated, as all public transportation was, because she took a seat in the first row of the colored section. As the bus continued on its route, it began to fill up. More white passengers got on, and soon, the white section was full. The bus driver, James F. Blake, noticed a white man standing. He moved the colored section sign back one row and demanded that the 4 black passengers in that row give up their seats. 3 of them complied. Rosa Parks did not. She remained seated. The driver asked her, "Are you going to stand up?" She looked at him and said simply, "No." He threatened to have her arrested. She replied, "You may do that." People often say she refused to stand because her feet were tired. But as Rosa herself later explained, that wasn't it. She said, "The only tired I was tired of giving in." She was tired of the daily humiliations, tired of being treated as a second-class citizen. Her refusal was a conscious act of defiance, a decision she had been preparing for her entire life. True to his word, the driver called the police, and Rosa Parks was arrested. Her arrest was the catalyst that civil rights leaders had been waiting for. Joanne Robinson, head of the Women's Political Council, and E.D. Nixon, a prominent black leader and Rosa's friend from the NAACP, immediately sprang into action. That night, they organized a citywide bus boycott. They printed thousands of leaflets and distributed them across Montgomery's black community, calling for a one-day protest. The response was overwhelming. On December 5th, the day of Rosa's trial, the buses were virtually empty of black passengers. The one-day protest was so successful that community leaders decided to continue it. They formed the Montgomery Improvement Association and elected a young, charismatic preacher as their president. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The Montgomery Bus Boycott had officially begun. It would last for 381 days. For over a year, the black community of Montgomery organized an elaborate system of carpools, used black-owned taxis, or simply walked, sometimes for miles, to get to work. They faced harassment, intimidation, and violence. Their homes were bombed, but they did not give up. Rosa Parks, who lost her job and faced constant threats, became a powerful symbol of the movement. Her quiet courage inspired thousands to stand together against injustice. The boycott crippled the city's transit system financially and brought national and international attention to the civil rights struggle in the American South. The legal battle raged on. Finally, on November 13, 1956, the U.S. Supreme Court declared that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. The boycott had been won. It was a landmark victory, demonstrating the power of mass nonviolent protest and catapulting Dr. King and the civil rights movement onto the national stage. But for Rosa Parks, the fight was far from over. The victory came at a great personal cost. Unable to find work and still facing constant threats in Montgomery, she and her husband moved to Detroit, Michigan, in 1957. But she did not retreat from public life. For many, the story ends with the bus boycott, but Rosa's activism continued for another 4 decades. She worked for Congressman John Conyers from 1965 until her retirement in 1988, helping the people of her new community. She traveled the world, speaking out against injustice wherever she saw it. She was a vocal opponent of the Vietnam War and a supporter of the Black Power movement. She lent her voice and her presence to causes ranging from women's rights to the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. She understood that the fight for freedom was a global one, and she never stopped working for a more just and equitable world. In her later years, Rosa received numerous accolades for her contributions, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian honors in the United States. In 1996, she co-founded the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute for Self-Development, dedicated to motivating young people to achieve their highest potential. She wanted to pass on the lessons she had learned and inspired the next generation of leaders. Rosa Parks passed away on October 24, 2005, at the age of 92. She became the first woman in American history to lie in honor in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, a tribute usually reserved for presidents and military leaders. Her legacy is immeasurable. She showed the world that one person's courage can change the course of history. She wasn't just a woman who sat on a bus. She was a lifelong soldier for freedom, a strategic activist, and a beacon of quiet strength. Her story reminds us that heroes are not always the loudest voices in the room. Sometimes, they are the ones who, with quiet dignity, simply refuse to give in. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of a true unsung hero. Her story is a powerful reminder that we all have the capacity to make a difference. If you found this story inspiring, please like this video. And for more stories of incredible individuals who changed the world, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time.